and welcome back to Bookish theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about 7Fates CHAKHO with BTS, focusing on the new clues that we can find in the film and the live to see what they can tell us about this upcoming project. Now, much like anticipated in my video about the hype storylines, 7Fates is gonna be one of the 4 narrative collaborations between Webtoon and some of the groups under the label. When it comes to BTS's collaboration, we know that it's gonna be the first one to be released and that it's gonna be a brand new storyline set in a fictional version of the near future. Much like it was anticipated in the corporate briefing, the story will be set in the legendary city of Shinshi, and both the location and the story will be heavily inspired by Korean mythology. As V himself has explained, the main source of inspiration was none other than the CHAKHO. This is the legendary army of tiger hunters that was first created during the Joseon dynasty, and in the story this concept will be revisited in order to fit the fantasy setting of the tale. Like the title foreshadows, for instance, the members will play the role of 7 CHAKHO, who are hunters united by destiny whose goal is to defeat the bomb. These are tiger-like monsters who have taken over the city of Shinshi, and in the story the boys will have to confront these dangers and try to figure out what they need to be 7 in order to triumph. Now, even if Jimin confirmed that the characters will also face other creatures belonging to Korean mythology, the fantasy aspect of the story will also be used to approach the theme of faith, which is gonna be a major aspect of the narrative as a whole. As it was revealed in the latest interviews, the way this webtoon is going to approach this theme is actually inspired by the members' own opinions on the matter. In the story film, for instance, fate is described as the thing that is closest to you but is only visible when you seek it. In this world with countless directions, people get lost more often than finding the right path, but even if life is full of questions and doubts, J-Hope tells us that the members are each other's mirror. This means that them finding each other also allows them to find themselves in the process, so this collaboration will essentially show us BTS's idea of fate coming to life in a story that will also celebrate their own culture as well. One question that is yet to be answered, however, is whether or not 7Fates will also be connected to the Bangtan universe. You see, up until now, this project has been described as a brand new story, but as we'll see in a second, the new teasers actually suggest that there might be some connections to the previous storyline as well. If we take a look at the story film, for instance, the boys describe fate in a way that fits their own reality, but also the stories that they've been telling us up to this point. If in this project the members are one the reflection of the other, the same can be said for the characters that they played in the Bangtan universe as well as the archetypes that they represented in the map of the soul. In BTS's concept, 7 is 1 and 1 is 7, and this is an idea that has stayed consistent since the very beginning of the most beautiful moments in life. Back in the Wings era, for instance, 7 and 1 were described as the shadow of one another reflected in the water, so much like in 7Fates, the boys are each other's mirror as well as each other's reflection. As we see in the video, however, J-Hope's mirrors end up breaking, and this is yet another clue that implies a connection to the Bangtan universe. You see, in the view, the glass breaking is a symbol that represented Jin going back in time and leaving one timeline in order to get to another. As it was explained in the Wings trilogy, when the mirror is broken behind the curtain, a new path opens up, and right now this is exactly what is taking place. The mirrors are breaking once again, and a new fate is about to be revealed because of this event, with the only difference being that instead of going back in time, we're moving in a completely different world. Now, up to this point, it's unclear why all of this is taking place, but if we take a look at the CCTV live, it seems that the characters that we meet in CHAKHO are either the same ones that we left in the Bangtan universe, or at the very least, a version of them belonging to a parallel reality. Now, bear in mind, this live was actually an ad for a super casting project that is gonna be revealed in January, so the goal of the video was not to expand on the lore, but rather to promote this event. Every time a member disappeared, a new clue was unveiled in the background with the glitching of the cameras. Yoongi's video showed us the name of the project, Jimin showed us the date, while Namjoon gave us the name of the location where it's gonna be revealed. Obi's video instead gave us coordinates, Jin showed us the zip code, JK told us the webtoon is gonna be involved, while Taeyeon confirmed the involvement of BTS themselves. Despite the promotional nature of this live, however, the video also hides some interesting callbacks to the Bangtan universe, and these references seem a bit too planned to be coincidental. At the beginning, for instance, the first member to appear is Jin himself, and in the video is wearing a suit that heavily recalls the one that he was wearing back in the Love Yourself highlight reel. On top of that, Jin disappears in front of a wooden door, and this is an interesting imagery because back in film out, the different timelines were portrayed as wooden doors as well. Then we see Hoseok practicing in a studio like Hye and Jimin did in BU, Yoongi laying on a couch that looks very similar to the one that we saw back in that story, and JK being associated to a piano, possibly to reference his strong relationship with Yoongi. The most interesting callback that we can find, however, is actually the one about V, because in his scene the video seems to reference two moments of the story at the same time. When he is outside of the car, for instance, the scene recalls his scene with Namjoon back in I Need You. When Taeyong is inside of the car, however, the video seems to be referencing yet another scene from the highlight reels, this time revolving around Jin. When in the video Taeyong disappears, we see that in his place there is a Polaroid portraying the 7 members, and a similar picture can be found in Jin's car in the very same position. Now this is very telling because in the Bangtan universe these photos are an essential aspect of the story because they actually help Jin remember the memories that he lost and find his own map of the soul. If the Polaroid has the same significance in the live, then the fact that the members are still in the shadows might imply that their fate is yet to be revealed and their map of the soul is yet to be found. Bear in mind, in the notes the map of the soul is described as the life that has been lived. It's the countless hours lived since then and all of the choices that have been made, so the map of the soul is essentially the combination of all the experiences that make us the people that we are. Since we know that 7Fates is about the members discovering their fate, this premise can be compared to them rediscovering their map of the soul, and if this is the case, then 7Fates and BU might be connected in one of two ways. On one hand, the new story can be set in a parallel dimension that bears similarities with the older one, but is ultimately different. If this is the case, then the two stories will feature some minor parallels while at the same time staying independent from one another. This is something that we also saw with BTS World, so for them to show us a new story set in a completely different reality would not only be possible, but also very likely. Another possibility, however, is that the characters of the two stories are indeed the same people who ended up in a dimension that is different from their own. Now, even if this second option might seem unlikely, what took place at the end of the notes might actually tell us otherwise. This is because even if by the end of the second book Jin found his map of the soul by remembering his memories, the same cannot be said for Jungkook, who in turn forgot everything and got stuck in a void without light, space or time. You see, even if his physical body is still behaving like always, his soul was trapped in this place because of the cat's intervention, and in this abyss JK sees a hole opening up in the sky. In the notes, the story tells us that something is about to begin, and as a matter of fact, something is beginning because a new path is opening up and a new fate is about to unravel. If the notes were referring to the beginning of 7Fates, then this could imply that the sky that JK was looking at was not his reality, but rather the new reality of CHAKHO. Now, the reason why I think this might be is because in the story film, JK mentions the sky once again. If in the notes he looks up and sees a wispy light in the sky breaking out of the darkness, in the film JK says that what's important isn't the sky far away, but rather what's right here and right now. Now, this is a very suspicious parallel because in the notes the abyss that traps him doesn't have a here and now, so the sky far away is the only thing that keeps him from getting lost. In the story film, this concept seems to be inverted, and this might imply that once this new fate is unveiled, JK and the others will have to focus on their new reality in order to remember what in the past they actually forgot. To know how things will play out, however, we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!